Welcome to the Chemistry Live channel. Today we are discuss about our new topic chemoselectivity. After the topic which we learn one group CX disconnection and two group CX disconnection, that is very important topic to get in deep through inside that one. So before start, I hope you watched the previous video. If not, then go there and watch the video. Link in this I button. You will go in your right hand side. So take a look there. And with that notes, I would like to start today's topic is chemoselectivity. So what is it actually? The molecule has reactive group and we want to react one of them. Okay, we want to react what one of them. We need to more selectivity for that we can consider. So there is basically three type of examples I have. The first is the relative reactivity to two functional group such as an amine and hydroxide. So what is amine and hydroxide? Suppose there is the group which the benzene contain amine and hydroxide both group, and if we wish to add some derivative like acetate ion, so what happened over there? There it should be react like that or that. We cannot control the chemoselectivity with that kind of group, but we need to take some precaution for that. Another example is the reaction of one of the two identical group. For the example, we might want to take monoether. So we have to take a monoether and we will deal with that one. So first we will use the diol, then react with methyl iodide or something, and then we will get the CH3IO at another side. But if you rotate this group, this side, then it will be similar to each other. So that is also the chemoselectivity problem which we arise. And the third one, the reaction of the group once when it might react twice in a thiol synthesis. So that is another complicated tough or situation. There is a RBr or halide, alkyl halide, react with Na2S, sodium thiosulfate, get anion, that sulfate anion, which is react again with the same molecule and get a thiol. So that after the whole this first slide, we can see the reactivity of two functional group, the reactive one of the two identical group, and the reaction with thiols or another derivatives. We can get some conclusion, or we can say what is the chemoselectivity? A reaction in which one functional group within the molecule react livingly or potentially reactive other than the other functional group unaltered is called chemoselective reactions, and this process is known as a chemoselectivity. So now we will talk about more in terms of chemoselectivity. There are complete guidelines of that one, which guideline seems to be very easy to understand. There is a 4 guideline. Then now we will switch to the first guideline. The guideline 1. In the guideline 1, if two groups have an equal reactivity, then the more reactive group can be made to react alone. So what is mean to understand the guideline? We have to take one example. The example is paracetamol, which is a popular analgesic drug. Amines are much more nucleophilic than the phenol, as we are aware with that one. So the reaction with acetic anhydride gives amide, and we want without any ester. That is important to note. We want it without any ester. So what is the retrosynthesis process of that one? So I will write the retrosynthesis here. So there is our compound. Here it is. It has the NHCO CH3 group, and here there is OH. So what it says? It says there is a paracetamol. The disconnection of paracetamol, if we proceed, then it should be from here CN amide disconnection, and after the CN amide disconnection we will got para-aminophenol is like that, and if we disconnect more this para-aminophenol, so onwards we will look for that FGI, functional group interconversion. So the functional group interconversion means we have to interconvert this NH2 to the NO2. So we will go for that one. We will convert this NH2 into the NO2 and we will get this kind of compound. Again, this kind of compound, how did we get? Again, we are disconnect from here. So again, we proceed for CN disconnection of nitro group, and we proceed CN disconnection of nitro group. Then what will we get? We'll get normal phenol. That is the retrosynthesis of the particular compound. So the synthesis of that compound, it will be straightforward. So we will start with the nitration of phenol. Okay, so in the synthesis section, I would like to start with a nitration of phenol, which is here. So we will took a phenol first, okay, and a nitrating agent means dilute HNO3. We will get nitrophenol. It is very easy to get nitrophenol from that one. That nitrophenol reduced with the help of H2PDC or palladium. Then we will got this nitro group convert into the amine. We will get NH21. Again this reaction are further proceed with acetic anhydride and we will get our compound paracetamol. So you see that reaction, that kind of reaction is pretty easy to be understand. So according to guideline 1, if we have two group equal reactivity, then more reactive group can be made react alone. Okay, so what should we do? First we will overcome the reactivity. We have to have the more reactive group made the reaction alone. That is the aim of this guideline. Now I would like to switch to another guideline, which is guideline 2. What it means to say, it say if the one functional group can react twice, the product of first reaction will be complete with the reagent. The reaction will stop immediately after the one reaction only if the starting material is more reactive than the product. So on that context, I have another example to let you know. Here what we did, suppose I have such kind of alkyl halide react with this thiol group like that. So what happened here? That negative charge attack over here and that bond pair go to the bromine. And after the end, what we get? We get R, SH, and again the another thiol group is there. So that another thiol, now that is some complicated. That is the reaction, it is interconvertible. So what we get? Sometimes we get this plus RBr. So what happened when we use this one, this two, we will get the anion. Again the another mole which we discussed previously, in the first slide. Again there is that negative charge attack over there and it will be get this bond pair. And what we'll get? We will get R, S, R. That kind of what we will get. So the reaction of alkyl halide with NaSH or Na2S usually made to stop after the one alkylation as anion first produced, it lists S- or S2-. The reaction gives thiol, but this is in equilibrium with RS- and the second displacement gives the sulfide. So now what I want to say you about that same guideline, we have to take another example. We need a benzyl chloroformate to introduce important protecting group. So what should I do? I will add the benzyl chloroformate here. We will take a look first a retrosynthesis and then we'll take a look for synthesis portion. So that is the synthesis of benzyl chloroformate. So there is a benzene ring we have, actually we know about that one. Then here there is CH2, here there is O, again here there is group. That group we have benzyl chloroformate. If we wish to disconnect the benzyl chloroformate group, then how we can? That is the important part. So we can disconnect here, as you are aware with that ester disconnection then. So we can disconnect the CO ether disconnection. Now what happened here? If we disconnect from that side, then we will take a closely look. We'll have this alcohol as well as this compound, or we can say it's phosgene. So the phosgene is our starting material, okay, but the product itself also an acid and it might be react again to form a dibenzyl carbonate, and that we don't want, actually dibenzene carbonate is formed. So how it proceed dibenzene carbonate, we will take a look here first. See here there is the group which is R or R, something like that, double bond O here, and there is chloro group. It will be convert into the R cation, O anion is, or the electron rich oxygen is there, and chlorine. So how did we convert this first to, how did we convert A to B, and how we will get this one? We will see here first. First what happened, the lone pair is go to the bond pair. So at that same moment what happened here? The same moment here, there is R is become 2 electron deficient because it pulled the electron, that oxygen pulled the electron from R. and that comes to the here, so we'll get this kind of structure. But in this case, that is a delocalization, is the product is not present in the phosgene, and the carbonyl group of the benzene chloroformate is much less electrophile than the phosgene. So that's why we will have this kind of group with us. Okay, so another example, if we talk about, then there is things to be the guideline 3, which is for the chemoselectivity guideline. In that guideline, the problem of guideline 1 and 2 may be solved by the protecting group. So what we need? We need some protection to protect something. If we protect once, then it is easy to go with guideline 1 and 2, to follow the guideline 1 and 2. If we want to react a less reactive functional group of the two functional group, we have to protect more reactive, and if we want to react react once again, it would be react twice. We protect the reagent. So now a protecting group is a something added to the functional group that reduce and eliminate unwanted reactivity. It must be easy to add and easy to remove. That is important part of the protecting group. I think you learn about that one. It is easy to add and easy to remove. So in that context, I have one example and which I want to discuss with you. There I have one group like the amino acids, or it having the C double bond O H as well as amine group together. Okay, so if we have two group together and if we wish to react this two group with like that benzoyl chloride, which already we discussed, so like in that situation, see here how it react, how we will get here the Cl position, Cl from here, and here the H from here is just remove and to protect. So this group is used to protect this Cl. What I wish to say, this group is used to protect a Cl, and the group is something, or it's look like something, if we install it proper, it is look like something that here there is a R, not O, it's look like something that there is N, H, double bond O, then again this, and phenyl group. Okay, so here there is above example, amine is more nucleophilic than the carboxylic acid, and if we want to carboxylic acid to react with nucleophile, then we have to protect that. So that is very simple. As the if we want to overcome the protecting group is used, that is very simple guideline to be understand. So now we will deal with the fourth one guideline, which is the last guideline of particular the chemoselectivity problem in the disconnection. So what in the last guideline? In the last guideline, one of the two identical group may given reasonably yield by the number of methods. So that is one important part. So we have a three part. I'll divide into three part. The first part is if we have a product form, the first reaction is less reactive than the starting material, double the reaction may be avoided. In that context, I have one example which I want to share with you. That example is here, like I have the nitrobenzene, which you might be understand the structure of nitrobenzene. If I react the nitrobenzene with fuming HNO3 and H2SO4, so I'll get that dinitrobenzene. How it will? It is very easy to understand. So there is one nitro group is here, one nitro group is here, that is dinitrobenzene. If I react the dinitrobenzene with sodium thiosulfate in the methanol, so what I get, it is reduced, actually it reduced any one of them. So for that I'll reduce this one, it will convert into the NH2, and that is as it is as NO2. So here the nitration of the nitrobenzene is difficult, but it succeeds by the fuming HNO3 H2SO4, which gives the meta product, and that meta product reduced with sodium thiosulfate clearly gives a meta nitroaniline by the reaction in just one nitro group. So that's one example. If the product form first reaction less reactive than the starting material, then double the reaction may be avoided. Okay, so that is how we avoid the double the reaction. In the another part, I would like to say the B portion, which is starting material and the monoreactor product, are one of the roughly equal reactivity or equal reactive reactions, with the one of the reagent gives a moderate yield by statistical method. So which statistical method we have to follow? We'll take a look on that one. I have one diol which is here, that is the one diol which I always used to use this one. Reaction with sodium and xylene act as a solvent, I will get one anion and one OH as it is. So if I add ETBr, then what happened? So if I add ethyl bromide, or ETBR, that ethyl group is just attached over here because that attacked over here and it will be removed. So I will get this kind of product which I expect. The treatment of symmetrical diol, that is the important word to mark it. The treatment of symmetrical diol with strong base gives a mixture of monoanion and the starting material and dianion. So it not be like that it is only that that group is available. It might be monoanion, it might be a dianion. Starting material does not react with the ethyl bromide. That is true. It will be not react with ethyl bromide directly. So there is evidence the less of dianion because the two anions are near enough to the stability of each other. So deal with the monoether will be higher than the 50%. So what is the yield and what is the deal? It's about the higher than the 50%. So that is very important. Now I would like to switch the last portion of the guideline 4, which is the method is to be combined the identical functional group into the one functional group react to give product of much lower reactivity than the starting material. So here I wish to say something but not verbally. I have something to show you. See, here I have one group, one acid, okay, that is something like that, and which is very important to understand as well. So I have two different reagents to add. In one I'll add acid, again in methanol solution or solvent, and another I have acetic anhydride. So now we will take a look how it will be react. See, when I add methanol in the acidic condition, here it is replaced by just only the OCH3, double bond is as it is protect somehow, it will make a protection of that group, see here, okay, and this is the end of the reaction. But if we add acetic anhydride, then acetic anhydride react with these two groups and we will get such an interesting product. Maybe you heard the name of the product as well. That is one interesting product which I always like to do this one. Again, this reaction is work with O minus methoxy ion in the presence of methanol, and now what we get? We will get only one side methyl group, only one side protection of methoxy group. That is better option. So we will get here OCH3 and the rest is OH is intact as it is. And again, if we add SOCl2, then what happened? This SOCl2 directly react with OH and it convert into the Cl. So that's how we will intact one methoxy as it is to the help of the protection, and another methoxy will convert into the acyl. So that is a best method. It is if the starting material dicarboxylic acid and cyclic anhydride are combined with the methanol in acidic condition, diester is formed. But in basic solution is monoester and form remaining acid to be transformed into acid chloride. So what is the take home message from that one? The take home message is you have to have two different kind of condition. If you have dicarboxylic acid with you, then if you add an acid, so directly you get the condition diester, and if you have basic condition, then you get a monoester, and monoester you can do another reaction with OH. That is the important part. So thank you for watching. If you have any doubt, just let me know in comment section below. So the next lecture, we will deal with the reversal of polarity, which is very important topic in the terms of the chemoselectivity, in the terms of the two group CX disconnection, in the terms of the disconnection approach. So stay tuned and wait for the next lecture.